Start with purpose, not pressure. Because too many people start their routines in the wrong direction. From a place of fear, comparison, guilt, or desperation. They force themselves into habits because someone online said it's what successful people do, not because it aligns with who they are or what they truly want. And when your routine begins with pressure, it collapses the moment life gets hard. But when it begins with purpose, it becomes something deeper, something rooted, something that can stand the storms that inevitably show up. Purpose gives your routine a heartbeat. It makes discipline feel meaningful instead of miserable. It reminds you why you started on the days you feel like quitting. Pressure pushes you for a little while, but purpose carries you for a lifetime. When you know your why, your real why, every action feels intentional. Every small step feels connected to something bigger, and every day becomes an opportunity instead of an obligation. Think about it. When you wake up with pressure, the first thought that hits your mind is, I have to do this. But when you wake up with purpose, the mindset shifts to, I get to do this. The task is the same, but the energy behind it is completely different. One drains you, one drives you. Purpose doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It doesn't mean you have a perfect life plan written out. Sometimes purpose is simply choosing to grow. Because deep down, you know you're meant for more than settling. Sometimes purpose is choosing to become a little better today than you were yesterday. Purpose can be the desire to prove to yourself, not the word, that you are capable, disciplined, consistent, and willing. Purpose can even be the commitment to break a generational pattern or build a life that the younger version of you prayed for. Whatever it is, it must come from within. Pressure comes from comparison. It comes from looking at someone else's routine and feeling like you're behind. It makes you feel like you need to do everything at once. Wake up at 4 a.m., read 3 chapters, run 10 miles, meal prep perfectly, meditate for an hour, and never miss a beat. And when you can't keep up, pressure makes you feel like a failure. But purpose understands seasons. Purpose understands growth. Purpose understands that a routine isn't a performance, it's a personal evolution. Purpose allows you to start small without feeling small. A 5-minute routine with purpose is more powerful than a 2-hour routine built out of pressure. Because purpose has direction. Purpose has clarity. Purpose knows exactly where it's heading, even if the steps look tiny today. When you build a routine with purpose, you stop chasing perfection and start chasing progress. You don't need applause. You don't need someone to validate your effort. You don't need the world to see your grind. You do it because it matters to you. You do it because you understand that your future is shaped by what you repeatedly do, not by what you occasionally feel motivated to try. And here's the truth. Purpose makes your routine unstoppable because it anchors you when you're tired, busy, discouraged, or stressed. Pressure breaks under weight. Purpose holds steady. Purpose whispers, remember why you started. Purpose reminds you that every step is building something, even if it doesn't look impressive yet. Purpose becomes the compass that guides your actions when everything else feels uncertain. Starting with purpose means you stop living life as a reaction and start living it with intention. You stop letting emotions dictate your effort. You stop letting excuses negotiate your potential. You wake up each day not because pressure is pushing you, but because purpose is pulling you forward, higher, deeper, better. Win the first hour of your day, because that first hour is the anchor that sets the tone for everything that follows. The moment you open your eyes, you're either stepping into your day with intention or surrendering it to distraction. And most people don't even realize how much power they give away before they've even gotten out of bed. They reach for their phone, scroll through other people's lives, absorb noise, stress, opinions, and expectations before they've even said good morning to themselves. And when you start your day reacting, you're already behind. You're already in catch-up mode. You're already letting the world dictate your mindset instead of choosing it for yourself. Winning the first hour isn't about having a perfect routine. It's about taking ownership. It's about saying, before the world gets a piece of me, I'm giving the best part of me to my growth. That one decision separates people who drift through life from people who drive it. The first hour is where you build momentum. It's where you build clarity. It's where you create the mental strength that carries you through the rest of the day. Think about how different your day feels when you start it with purpose instead of panic. When you start with silence instead of noise. When you start with gratitude instead of stress. When you start with movement instead of laziness. There's something powerful about choosing to start your morning with discipline instead of distraction. You might not control everything that happens during your day, but you absolutely control how you show up to it. The first hour is where you decide the energy you're bringing into every decision, every conversation, every task. When you give that hour to scrolling, snoozing, or stumbling, you send a message to your mind that comfort comes first. When you give that hour to growth, your mind learns the opposite. Purpose comes first. Progress comes first. You come first. Winning the first hour doesn't mean waking up at some extreme time. It means waking up with intention. For some people, that intention might be stretching, journaling, reading, praying, hydrating, planning, or simply sitting in silence to gather themselves. For others, it might be going for a walk, doing a quick workout, or listening to something that feeds their mind. What you do matters less than why you do it. The goal isn't to impress anyone. The goal is to build a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of your day. That first hour becomes your training ground. It teaches your mind discipline. It teaches your body consistency. It teaches your spirit patience. It reminds you that no matter how chaotic life gets, you still control how you begin. And when you win the beginning, you create a momentum that makes it easier to win the middle and the end. There will be days when that first hour feels heavy. Days when you wake up tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. But those are the days when winning your first hour matters most, because discipline built in difficult moments becomes strength in later moments. Showing up when it's easy builds routine. Showing up when it's hard builds character. Think of your first hour as a message to your future self. Every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. Wake up, hydrate, breathe, move, reflect. Whatever your version looks like, just do something that aligns with the life you want. Because the first hour is not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about signaling to your mind and body that you are in charge, that today will not run you, you will run it. And when you consistently win that first hour, even by just 1% each day, the compound effect transforms you. You think clearer. You move sharper. You speak calmer. You work smarter. You carry more confidence, more peace, more focus. Not because your life magically gets easier, but because you've strengthened the part of you that handles difficult things. The first hour is where champions are built long before anyone sees the results. Discipline over motivation. Because motivation is a spark, and discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark fades. Motivation feels good. It's loud, exciting, and powerful, but it's temporary. It shows up when life is convenient, when energy is high, when everything feels smooth. But the moment things get uncomfortable, motivation disappears. Discipline is different. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're doubting yourself, when nobody is clapping, when the world feels heavy. Discipline is the quiet force that keeps you moving forward when motivation is nowhere to be found. Everyone loves the feeling of being motivated. It's easy to make promises to yourself when you're inspired. It's easy to set big goals when energy is high. But the truth is, your goals don't need your motivation, they need your discipline. Because motivation might help you start, but only discipline helps you finish. Motivation gives you a reason to move. Discipline gives you a routine that keeps you moving. Discipline is choosing what matters over what feels good in the moment. It's making decisions that your future self will thank you for, even when your current self doesn't feel like it. It's waking up early when the bed feels warm. It's working on your goals when distractions are calling your name. It's going to the gym when your mind tells you to skip. It's choosing progress when comfort tries to negotiate. Discipline is the muscle that strengthens every time you choose consistency over convenience. Motivation depends on emotion, and emotions change. Some days you feel unstoppable, and some days you feel broken. Some days you feel ready, and some days you feel lost. If your routine depends on your emotions, you will always be inconsistent. But if your routine depends on your discipline, you become unshakable. Discipline is not emotional, it's intentional. It's built through repetition, through commitment, through showing up again and again until it becomes a part of who you are. Discipline gives you power over your own life. It teaches you that even when you cannot control everything around you, you can control your actions. You can control your effort. You can control your response, and that control becomes confidence. Every time you honor your routine, every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. You start believing in your own word, and that belief becomes an unstoppable force. People often wait for motivation, believing they need to feel ready before they begin. The truth is, readiness is a myth. If you wait until you feel motivated. You'll spend your whole life waiting. Discipline is the decision to start without feeling ready, to keep going without feeling inspired, to finish without needing applause. Discipline frees you from depending on moods and teaches you that progress comes from action, not emotion. Discipline is also honest. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't tell you to take shortcuts. It doesn't tell you things will be easy. It doesn't promise comfort. What it promises is growth. It promises strength. It promises results not overnight, but over time. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. It's the daily investment that compounds quietly until one day the world sees what you built in silence. And the beautiful thing is, the more you practice discipline, the less you rely on motivation. Because discipline creates habits. And habits create consistency, and consistency creates success. The days you least feel like showing up are the days discipline matters most. Those are the days that separate the average from the exceptional. Those are the days that shape your identity, your resilience, your character. Motivation can inspire you, but discipline transforms you. The person who learns to act without waiting to feel ready becomes unstoppable. And when discipline becomes your foundation, there is no circumstance, no excuse, no emotion powerful enough to derail your progress. Every single day, discipline gives you the chance to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought, stronger than you believed, and committed to becoming the best version of you no matter how you feel. Small, daily choices shape big outcomes because your life is not built by the huge decisions you make once in a while, but by the tiny, almost invisible choices you repeat every single day. People often look at successful individuals and assume they made one big move, one lucky decision, one major breakthrough that changed everything. But the truth is, transformation happens in the smallest moments, the moments when no one is watching, when nobody is applauding, when no one even notices the effort you're putting in. Those small choices, consistently made, slowly stack up into something powerful, something meaningful, something life-changing. It's easy to underestimate the impact of a tiny action. Reading 10 minutes a day feels like nothing, but over months it becomes knowledge, clarity, perspective. Drinking one glass of water instead of soda seems small, but multiplied over time, it becomes better health and more energy. Doing 5 minutes of stretching doesn't feel like a big deal, but after weeks it becomes flexibility, less pain, better posture. Saving a little money each day feels insignificant, but over years, it becomes stability and freedom. The point is, the daily choice might look small, but the long-term effect is massive. The problem is that small choices are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. It's easy to read for 10 minutes, but it's also easy to skip it. It's easy to go for a short walk, but it's also easy to sit down and scroll. The danger of small choices is that they feel harmless in the moment. You don't instantly feel the loss when you skip one healthy habit. You don't instantly see the consequence when you choose comfort over progress. You don't instantly feel the regret when you push your goals aside for later. But those small decisions accumulate quietly, and over time, they either build you or break you. Your life today is the result of the choices you made over the past year's choices you may not even remember. And your life 5 years from now will be shaped by the choices you make today. That's why small actions matter so much. They are the seeds you plant. They look tiny at first, but with time they grow roots. They grow strength. They grow into habits that define who you are. Every small choice is a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. Every day you're casting votes, stronger or weaker, disciplined or distracted, growing or staying stagnant. What most people don't understand is that consistency is more powerful than intensity. Doing something small every day beats doing something huge once in a while. A person who works out for 10 minutes daily will outperform someone who trains hard once a week. A person who studies a little each night will learn more than someone who crams once a month. A person who practices kindness, gratitude, and patience consistently will become a better human than someone who only shows those traits when life is comfortable. Small choices shape your mindset too. When you choose to honor one tiny commitment, you build self-trust. When you complete a small task, you build momentum. When you make a tiny effort toward your goals, you remind yourself that you are capable of progress. Those moments of progress accumulate until your belief in yourself becomes unshakable. And once you trust yourself, you stop negotiating with excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop doubting your ability to grow. Big outcomes in life are rarely about talent or luck. They are about consistency. They are about showing up on the days you don't feel like it. They are about choosing what aligns with your future rather than what satisfies your comfort in the present. When you understand that every small choice carries weight, you start making them with intention. You stop underestimating the power of 5 minutes. You stop telling yourself it's too small to matter. You start realizing that greatness is built one tiny brick at a time. Your future success, your health, your relationships, your peace, your mindset, it all comes down to the small decisions you make repeatedly. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need huge, dramatic changes. You only need to make tiny choices that align with the person you want to become, and repeat them daily until they shape a life that once felt impossible. Become comfortable with discomfort. Because every level of growth you're praying for lives on the other side of something that feels unfamiliar, inconvenient, or downright uncomfortable. Most people run from discomfort, not realizing they're running from the very experiences that would shape them into who they are meant to become. Discomfort is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. Discomfort is usually the clearest sign that you're moving in the right direction. But the world has trained us to chase ease, to chase convenience, to chase whatever feels good in the moment. And as long as comfort is your priority, progress will always be optional. The truth is, discomfort is the training ground for strength. Nothing meaningful is built in comfort. Comfort doesn't challenge you. Comfort doesn't stretch you. Comfort doesn't expose your weaknesses so you can strengthen them. Comfort doesn't ask you to grow. It lets you stay exactly where you are, living the same patterns, the same habits, the same mindset, day after day. Discomfort, on the other hand, demands your attention. It tells you that change is happening. It tells you that you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. It tells you that you are evolving. Every time you push yourself into discomfort, you build resilience. You teach your mind that fear, inconvenience, or uncertainty won't control you. You prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Growth requires pressure. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Muscles grow under resistance. Strength is built when you push past the point where you want to stop. If everything you do feels comfortable, you're not growing, you're maintaining. There's no greatness in maintenance. Becoming comfortable with discomfort is not about forcing yourself into pain for no reason. It's about understanding that temporary discomfort creates long-term elevation. Waking up early is uncomfortable, but the clarity and discipline you gain are priceless. Working out is uncomfortable, but the strength and health you build change your entire life. Having hard conversations is uncomfortable, but it strengthens relationships and builds trust. Studying when you're tired is uncomfortable, but the opportunities it unlocks shape your future. Saving money instead of spending it is uncomfortable, but the freedom it creates is life-changing. Most people quit not because the goal is impossible, but because the path gets uncomfortable. They hit a little resistance and start telling themselves stories. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it's not the right time. Maybe I'm not capable. But those thoughts are nothing more than comfort, trying to protect you from evolution. Your mind loves familiarity, even if familiarity is the very thing holding you back. That's why you have to train yourself to lean into discomfort instead of retreating from it. Discomfort is where confidence is built. When you do something hard, something you once believed you couldn't do, you build a new identity. You start seeing yourself differently. You start believing you're someone who can handle challenges, someone who can push through fear, someone who can keep going even when it's tough. That identity stays with you long after the moment of discomfort ends. And that belief becomes fuel for the next challenge. You don't become great by avoiding hard things. You become great by facing them, embracing them, and learning from them. You grow by stepping into situations that stretch you mentally, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. You grow by staying committed even when discomfort whispers, take the easy way out. Growth requires you to walk straight into the things you once avoided. It requires you to silence the excuses and trust the process. Becoming comfortable with discomfort is a lifelong skill. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes. The challenge that once stared you becomes the warm-up for the next level. You start craving the stretch instead of fearing it. You start understanding that discomfort is not the enemy, stagnation is. And once you understand that, you stop running from difficult things and start running toward the person you are capable of becoming. Stay committed when no one is watching, because true growth isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows. When the applause is gone, when the motivation fades, when nobody is checking on you or expecting anything from you, that's where your real character shows up. Anyone can be consistent when people are clapping. Anyone can give effort when they're being praised and validated. But the person who keeps going in silence, who honors their routine without recognition, who shows up even when the world isn't paying attention, that person becomes unstoppable because they're not doing it for approval. They're doing it for transformation. The quiet moments are the most defining ones. The world sees the results, but it never sees the mornings you didn't want to wake up, but did anyway. It never sees the nights you stayed disciplined when you could have chosen comfort. It never sees the days you pushed through doubt, through fatigue, through frustration. Those private victories build a kind of strength that public praise can never replace. Commitment in silence builds confidence, integrity, and self-respect, because you learn to trust yourself. You learn that you will show up even when nobody else is there to hold you accountable. Staying committed when no one is watching means you're driven by purpose, not performance. You're focused on the long term, not the momentary feeling of being seen. You understand that consistency is a promise you make to yourself, not a performance you put on for others. You don't need an audience. You don't need validation. You don't need someone to remind you of your goals. You become your own reminder. You become your own motivation. And that level of self-leadership is rare, but it is the foundation of greatness. Most people only give effort when there's pressure. They study hard when the test is near. They work out only when someone is watching. They push themselves only when they feel judged. But real growth doesn't care about witnesses. Real growth happens in the mundane, repetitive, unglamorous moments that no one celebrates. It happens in the habits you keep, the routines you follow, the promises you honor behind closed doors. The world sees the transformation, but it never sees the work. And that's exactly why your private commitment matters. It builds a version of you that doesn't depend on anyone else to stay disciplined. When you show up alone, you build mental toughness. You train your mind to work without external rewards. You learn to stay focused even when your emotions fluctuate. You learn to separate your feelings from your responsibilities. And once you master that, life becomes different. Challenges don't shake you as easily. Distractions don't pull you off track as quickly. Temptations don't control you like before. You become someone who can hold themselves accountable, someone who can stand strong even when no one is there to encourage them. Staying committed in private also builds authenticity. You don't become someone who performs discipline. You become someone who lives it. Your actions match your words. Your habits match your goals. Your effort matches your vision. And people can sense that. They can feel when someone's discipline is real. They can feel when someone has earned their strength through consistency, not convenience. But that authenticity can only be built in the unseen hours. There will be days when your commitment feels lonely. Days when no one understands why you're working so hard. Days when you question whether the effort is worth it. And those moments are exactly where your growth is happening. Staying committed without applause teaches you to rely on internal drive rather than external noise. It teaches you patience, endurance, and resilience. It teaches you to value the process more than the attention. The truth is, the most important battles you'll ever fight are the ones no one knows about. The battles with your own excuses, the battles with laziness, the battles with doubt, the battles with the part of you that wants to stay comfortable. Every time you win one of those battles in silence, you become stronger. You climb higher, you grow deeper, and eventually, your results will speak so loudly that the world will wonder how you did it. But you'll know the truth. You stayed committed when no one was watching.